Bud Abbott, one of Hollywood's comedy legends, left a lasting impression on fans through his classic comedies with his co-star Lou Costello. However, behind the limelight and laughter was a life full of tragedy and challenges. Have you ever wondered what happened to him when the spotlight faded? Let's explore the story of Bud Abbott's life and sad ending in today's video. Childhood and career beginnings. Bud Abbott was born on October 2, 1897 in Asbury Park, New Jersey, into a family with a strong artistic tradition. His father, Edward Abbott, was a famous stage actor, and his mother, an artistic woman, provided an environment in which Bud could develop his artistic abilities from a very young age. However, the Abbott family did not always enjoy financial stability. Bud's father struggled with financial and health problems throughout his life, which sometimes caused hardship for Abbott and his family. Bud Abbott showed a passion for the performing arts as a teenager. He was an active student at Asbury Park High School, but instead of continuing his studies, Abbott decided to drop out at the age of 14 to pursue a career in the arts. Like many other stars in the entertainment industry, Abbott learned from those who came before him, from stage artists and musicians to veteran actors, all of whom Abbott wanted to emulate. He started his career in the entertainment world by taking small jobs in Broadway theaters where he had the opportunity to test and develop his talent. The first years were not easy. Abbott faced many challenges to survive in the harsh entertainment industry of New York. He even had to do non-industry jobs such as sales and even hotel management to maintain his life. However, it was not long before he began appearing in comedy shows, where he showed off his ingenuity and charm. The 1920s were the time when Bud Abbott began his formal career in the entertainment industry, especially in the comedy field. He participated in performances in Broadway theaters, and with his unique talent, Abbott quickly took over the stage, making a strong impression on the audience. During this time, he not only participated in theater performances, but also ventured into the film industry, especially silent films. One of Abbott's notable roles during this period was in Hollywood silent films, where he demonstrated his sharp expressiveness and acting talent without using dialogue. However, Abbott's career only really took off when he met Lou Costello in the late 1930s. Lou Costello, who had a silly style of humor, was completely different from Abbott, who always played a serious leading role. This was a turning point in Abbott's career when the two decided to become a comedy duo, a great success. Although they came from different backgrounds, Abbott with his serious, calm style and Costello with his silly and quick-wittedness, they created a perfect contrast that audiences could not resist. Abbott played the role of the straight man, the one who always maintained a serious and calm demeanor, while Costello played the funny man, always creating humorous situations. This combination created a unique comedy style that had never been seen on stage or screen at that time. One of the highlights of their career was the film Buck Privates, 1941, which brought them great fame. But one of the most important milestones was the famous comedy show Who's on First? This is one of the most legendary comedy shows in the history of entertainment, with humorous questions and continuous misunderstandings between Abbott and Costello about baseball players. The hilarious, incomprehensible questions and answers became an integral part of comedy shows and remain popular to this day. From live performances to films, Who's on First has become a classic symbol of comedy. With unexpected situations, quick-witted lines, and the stark contrast between Abbott and Costello, the duo easily took over the market and kept audiences laughing. Their chemistry not only impressed the public but also made producers, directors, and artists in the industry recognize their talent. Abbott and Costello's success came not only from improvisation but also from their flair for creating humorous situations. Although not always perfectly scripted, the two's chemistry created unpredictable performances. Abbott's reactions to Costello's silliness were always hilarious, and when Costello made obvious mistakes, Abbott couldn't keep his cool. This contrast not only created laughter, but also created an irresistible charm for the audience. What made Abbott and Costello stand out from other comedy duos was their unique combination of great improvisation and scripted integrity. They weren't just funny because of the way they spoke, but also because of the way they worked with each other. Their humor relies not only on words, but also on facial expressions, gestures, and actions. Their onstage camaraderie not only made for great performances, but also helped them maintain their enduring popularity. Abbott and Costello were not only comedic stars of the silver screen, but also pioneers in the entertainment industry. Their influence on the comedy and film industries was immense. Not only were they icons of the 1940s, but they also helped to redefine comedy on screen. Their films, such as Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, 1948, created a unique combination of comedy and horror, a new genre in the film industry at the time. The film became a symbol of the combination of horror and the human model that many later filmmakers would follow. Not only that, Abbott and Costello were also pioneers in the development of comedy television. The Abbott and Costello Show, 1952-1954, made them indispensable stars on American television. It was one of the first television shows to use conversational comedy and the rhythmic coordination of unexpected situations, which changed the way comedy was developed on television. Their shows have always attracted huge audiences and set records for popularity in the television industry. Abbott and Costello have also had a great influence on generations of comedians. Famous comedians such as Jerry Seinfeld, Mel Brooks, and others have acknowledged the influence of Abbott and Costello in shaping their style of comedy. They not only learned from their performances, but were also fascinated by their creativity and ability to improvise. Abbott and Costello's influence transcends the entertainment industry. They are a part of American popular culture and have enriched the comedy legacy. Their famous comedy routines are still loved and reproduced in television shows and movies to this day. Famous lines such as "Who's on first?" are still mentioned and quoted in conversations and comedy events around the world. While Abbott and Costello's careers were soaring, behind the spotlight, there are little-known stories about the trials Bud Abbott endured throughout his life. Personal crisis. After the peak of his career, Bud Abbott's life began to experience many unpredictable events. One of the biggest problems he faced was his finances. Despite earning a large income from movies and comedy shows, Abbott did not know how to manage his finances. He spent lavishly and invested in unsuccessful projects such as restaurants and real estate investments, many of which did not yield the expected returns. This left Abbott in debt and out of control of his finances, which added to the stress in his life. In addition to his financial problems, Abbott's health also began to decline. The chronic abdominal pain he suffered from became a constant problem, preventing him from working as continuously as he had before. This condition often required Abbott to take long breaks, which affected his ability to maintain a busy work schedule. In addition, Abbott also faced other health problems such as heart disease and chronic fatigue. These problems left him feeling exhausted and unable to take on new projects. All these factors created a vicious cycle that Abbott could not escape. Although he tried to overcome the crisis, the impact of these factors seemed to be getting bigger and bigger, making it impossible for Abbott to maintain the strength and stability as before. One of the most serious problems in Bud Abbott's life was alcoholism. Initially, he drank as a way to relieve stress and fatigue after hours of hard work in the entertainment industry. However, gradually, this habit became a serious problem that affected all aspects of Abbott's life. Although he was already a famous comedy star, he could not control his alcohol dependence, leading to him gradually losing control. These issues made Abbott a very vulnerable person, someone who sometimes could not recognize himself in his actions and decisions. Despite his efforts to overcome the crisis, his alcoholism and related problems were key factors in the downfall of his career and personal life. Alcoholism not only seriously affected Abbott's physical health, but also negatively affected his work. The performances that he had previously been outstanding and maintained his form became lifeless and of poor quality. The performances no longer achieved the natural humor and chemistry between Abbott and Costello as before, because Abbott was now often tired and easily lost focus. He was even caught appearing intoxicated on stage, which made audiences and colleagues feel uneasy. The crack. The rift between Bud Abbott and Lou Costello is one of the greatest tragedies in show business history. Although they were initially a great duo, their relationship began to suffer when Abbott began to suffer from serious personal problems. The changes in Abbott's personality and behavior due to his alcoholism and failing health created conflicts in their work and relationship. Costello, although a loyal co-star, began to feel tired and frustrated by Abbott's lack of consistency. One of the reasons for the strain on their relationship was work issues. While Costello was becoming a big star with increasing popularity, Abbott was not able to maintain his form and gradually faded into obscurity. This not only affected Abbott's career, but also damaged the relationship between the two friends. Costello began to feel that he was no longer receiving the recognition he deserved and began to seek solo opportunities, while Abbott was unable to maintain his position. The situation became worse when Bud Abbott became increasingly unapproachable and exhausted due to personal problems. During some performances, Abbott was unable to concentrate on his work, disrupting performances and causing arguments with Costello. This not only affected the quality of his work, but also made the tension in their relationship more obvious than ever. Ultimately, the relationship between Abbott and Costello officially broke down in the early 1950s. Although both maintained a certain respect for each other, their long-standing friendship could not be saved. Costello decided to leave Abbott to pursue a solo career, which was not only a great shock to Abbott, but also marked the end of a legendary comedy era. The breakup was devastating to Abbott's career. After Costello left, Abbott was unable to find a suitable co-star to continue his work. Costello's absence not only left Abbott without a suitable partner, but also deprived him of public recognition and support. Abbott's later films and shows could not recreate the appeal and success that he and Costello had once enjoyed. From here, Abbott fell into a state of lost career, facing consecutive failures. Although he continued to participate in some small projects, he could never regain the aura of his peak years when he collaborated with Lou Costello. Both men faced inevitable changes in their lives and careers, and their breakup is one of the biggest regrets in the entertainment industry. Bud Abbott's final years were a long and painful journey, marked by poor health, loneliness, and financial hardship. Although he had been a shining star in comedy and film, Abbott's final years were a downward spiral, filled with tragedy and oblivion. The final years. Bud Abbott's health began to decline dramatically as his career took a downturn. These health problems were not new, as Abbott had struggled with alcoholism for many years. After achieving great success, his final years were burdened with illness and fatigue. Abbott suffered from a series of chronic illnesses, including arthritis, stomach, and digestive problems. The pain, especially chronic abdominal pain, made it difficult for him to maintain the performing jobs he loved. Not only did this reduce his ability to work, but it also severely affected his mental health, making Abbott depressed and lacking in energy. In addition, his alcoholism made his health worse. When he was a famous star, Abbott was able to hide his health problems thanks to his dynamism and support team. But as his career faded, he no longer had the strength to maintain his previous life. Combined with the loneliness in his later years, when friends and colleagues gradually left him, Abbott felt lost and had no one to care for him. It seemed that he had to face his illness, fatigue, and mental decline alone. One of the ironies of Bud Abbott's life was his financial hardship in his later years when he had lived in luxury and was one of the richest artists in Hollywood. Despite his success and large income from films with Lou Costello, Abbott could not maintain this wealth for long. His inability to manage his finances led to poor investment decisions and reckless spending. His inability to preserve his wealth cost Abbott much of what he had earned in his prime. While his peers, such as Lou Costello, remained financially stable, Abbott unfortunately fell into poverty. With mounting debts and not enough income to maintain his previous lifestyle, Abbott fell into poverty. His daily life in his later years was a struggle to cope with his debts and financial difficulties, leaving him living in poverty. The financial hardship took a toll on Abbott's mental health. He no longer had the energy and motivation to continue performing, which made him feel even more defeated and lonely. Many of his old friends also gradually distanced themselves from him, no longer interested in cooperation offers. Abbott became a shadow of himself, no longer the shining star that people once loved. Although Abbott was once one of the most famous comedy stars of the 20th century, as his career faded, he was forgotten in the public eye. As new generations of actors and modern television shows began to take over, Abbott was no longer a name that was mentioned as often. His image gradually faded, and stories about his glorious years became history. The lack of attention and oblivion from the public made Abbott feel disappointed. His old colleagues, whether Lou Costello or other figures in the entertainment industry, were no longer there to support him. Those with whom Abbott had shared beautiful moments and successes were now gradually fading away, leaving him feeling abandoned and lost in the very world he once dominated. This situation made Abbott feel that his life was passing by in vain. No one remembered his contributions to the entertainment industry. Although he had made history with classic comedies and was an indispensable part of American cinema, the changes in the entertainment industry caused him to gradually fade into oblivion. Abbott's final years were filled with suffering, as he could not regain the glory that once belonged to him. Bud Abbott's life in his final years was a complete tragedy. An unworthy end for a man who had once brought laughter to millions. From a great star in the entertainment industry, Abbott had to endure poverty, illness, loneliness, and oblivion. His end was a reminder of the fragility of fame and the cruelty of time. the death. Bud Abbott died on April 24, 1974, at the age of 76, after a long battle with cancer. He died at his home in Woodland Hills, Los Angeles, where he had spent the last years of his life in a difficult state. The illness had weakened Abbott's body, and despite his valiant fight, cancer eventually claimed his life. His passing marked a sad end to a comedy legend who had brought laughter to millions of audiences throughout his career. After his death, Abbott was cremated at Grandview Crematory in Glendale, California. His ashes were scattered in the Pacific Ocean, about 3 miles off the coast of Santa Monica. The move not only reflected Abbott's attachment to Los Angeles and the California coast, where he spent much of his career and life, but also served as a way for him to return to nature, where memories of his joyful moments will live on in the hearts of his fans. On the family side, Abbott's wife, Betty, who had been by his side for many years, died on September 12, 1981. She was recognized after her death as Abbott's devoted wife and indispensable companion during his years of health and financial crisis. Stories of Betty's love and care for Abbott became an important part of his life story. When Abbott passed away, many in the entertainment industry expressed their condolences and appreciation for his career and character. One of the most memorable tributes came from Groucho Marx, Abbott's friend and fellow entertainer. When asked about Abbott shortly after his death, Groucho Marx did not hesitate to call him the greatest straight man who ever lived. This statement not only reflected Marx's respect for Abbott, but also emphasized Abbott's admirable qualities: straightforwardness, honesty, and being one of the greatest comedians of the 20th century. Although Bud Abbott's life ended in loneliness and financial hardship, his comedy legacy lives on in the hearts of the public and the history of entertainment. It was his brilliant comedy performances with Lou Costello that left a deep mark, laying the foundation for generations of artists to come. Let's take a deeper look at Abbott's contributions to the world of comedy and how he changed the entertainment industry forever. Bud Abbott's comedy legacy. Abbott's contribution to the development of comedy cannot be overstated. Along with Lou Costello, Abbott helped shape a unique style of comedy where the contrast between the two main characters' personalities was the key to creating laughter. While Lou Costello, with his naive and easily disturbed demeanor, often played the silly character, Bud Abbott portrayed the image of a calm, intelligent, and wise man. This combination created unexpected humorous situations that made the audience laugh. The duo brought dramatic and absurd situations to seemingly simple stories, such as in their famous films like Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, or their timeless comedy scenes like Who's on First? This comedy scene has not only become an icon of Abbott and Costello, but also an irreplaceable part of the popular culture legacy. In addition, their comedy shows have contributed to reshaping the entertainment industry. At that time, comedy on stage and in film mainly revolved around accessible stories and simple characters. However, with the talent and creativity of Abbott and Costello, comedy was raised to a new level, not only as entertainment, but also as a means to reflect on social situations, relationships, and human problems. The Abbott and Costello classic Who's on First is the clearest example of this. This comedy scene, which only lasted a few minutes, subtly portrayed the confusion and misunderstandings in communication, while still maintaining a sharp sense of humor and surprising the audience with each twist. Although he retired from the stage after his career hit a rough patch, Abbott's legacy in comedy lives on. Generations of comedians have looked to Abbott and Costello as role models. learning from their charm and creativity in constructing humorous situations. Furthermore, his influence has extended beyond the world of film to other media such as television shows, books, and other performances. Bud Abbott's contributions have created a solid foundation for the development of comedy throughout the 20th century, and it can be said that Abbott is one of the artists who laid the foundation for the modern comedy genres that we love today. In fact, to this day, Abbott and Costello's comedies are still re-aired on television and are beloved not only by older audiences, but also by younger generations. With his talent and influence, Bud Abbott remains a legend in the comedy world. His legacy will continue to be honored through the laughter he brought and the lessons he left behind about creativity and the art of comedy. Do you remember any of your favorite Abbott and Costello funny moments? Please share your thoughts in the comments section below. We would love to hear from you. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more interesting updates. Thank you, and see you in the next videos.